Alright, getting a bit of progress happening on the Mirage. I've got some paint down now in some areas, so I've painted up base coat for the ejection seat, NATO black, so I still have to paint in the cushions and the harnesses. That'll be fun in 1/72. Tub needs some decals put on yet. I've painted in the wheel, nose gear bay. Alright, so painting, this is where the intake area is, and the rear is the engine area, but you shouldn't see any of that, but I'll just paint it just in case. So I've used, for the gear bays and the intakes, is extreme metal, aluminium. You can see I've put the intakes in here. This is how the instructions call out for it. They get glued to the wing section, and the reason being, you can see there's, if you can see that lip there, the bottom side of it has that same lip, and that wing has like a recess where that lip sits in. So it's pretty much a perfect fit. Once you clean up the flash, of course, this kit suffers flash everywhere. But that fits good. We'll see what happens when the fuselage goes to the wing. So the engine parts I've painted up. So I've painted the nozzle fan inside. It's all the same colour, and this is the nozzle that'll plug on the end, which is there. So that's D15. This piece has photo etch in it, that big band of photo etch that you have to roll up and insert in here, and once it's in, you got this pieces pointing out of each link. You have to fold them down. Now this piece of photo etch was one link too big for me, so I had to cut, I didn't have to, but I cut one link off so that it met flush, otherwise it would have overlapped. And if you look closer, you'd see that, so I took one link out. So all the engine I painted up, this is a new colour I bought. I haven't tried it before. So it's extreme metal again. This is, love AK extreme metal. It's the best metallizers, personally, for me anyway. Metallic smoke. So it looks pretty good to me. It's like, it's very similar to Vallejo's acrylic metal colours, the burnt iron. It's a similar colour to that. I prefer lacquers over acrylic, but that's just me. So I can start putting this together now. I've also, while I was waiting for paint to dry, I've started just a couple of weapons. So I did the sidewinders. Again, flash, but so they were on this sprue, but the flash on this sprue is because when the molds come together, they were a bit off, so they weren't perfectly aligned. So it created a lip. It's hard to show up on light grey plastic, but I think there's a lip along there, all the way along the join, because the molds weren't aligned properly, and that creates flash. So that's a big clean-up job, and you got to try and remember to keep the single piece, so you got to try and keep that the curve in it. Don't come in with a flat sander and go like that. You'll flatten the side of the weapon. You can either clean it up a bit with a curved scraper, or spongy sander so it conforms to the shape of the piece. It's just, I don't know, it's really frustrating. It's a pretty modern tool kit, so things like that are just, well, to me it just shouldn't be, and it's going to add to your build time, of course, as well, because you're cleaning up just about every part. So I need to put, I'll put the decals in here, paint up that seat back on this page, and got to make up the nose gear, but I don't think that really needs to go in yet. No, it's back here later on that they're putting it in, so I'm not sure why they have it built there. So I've painted the inside of the cockpit. No, they're black, so I'll take these off. This is the other thing too, your fuselage parts. The sprue gate is on the mating surface of your part, so again, try and clean it up the best you can without taking too much plastic away, which will need filling later if you do. But so yeah, now I'm going to start putting all this together. I'm putting in these plates that are part of the main gear bays. This is extremely vague on how they should sit, where they should sit. By that image, there's no recess or positive area where that's where it sits. So what you need to realize is when you put the fuselage on, to make sure that's up, when that back's lined up, those floor plates of the gear door need to sit. They'll sit up against the fuselage, so they're actually part of where the fuselage attaches to. And by the looks of it, it should be a decent fit. Gee, I hate how Mirages go together. Please, someone tool them differently. So now you're going to have a huge, big long seam line inside those intakes. That's going to be hard to clean because of the inner part of that intake, the shock cone or whatever you want to call it, the airflow goes over. But anyway, that's how it's tooled, so that's how it goes. But yeah, be careful with that, because that's just, I couldn't work out where they was going to sit, so before I glued them, I did this to make sure, for once, I looked ahead. I've painted in the details on the seat. On the buckles, I just used because they're so small, so tiny, I used a toothpick, just wet the end with paint and just brush it, rub it across the buckles. I'm going to give that a clear coat just to protect the paintwork. Decals are on, they set, no worries. Yes, I used the photo etch, and it was a matter of either or, but sometimes I use photo etch and put the decal over top because it's got that the raised detail on it, and it just adds to the look of it, I think, anyway, and there's no way I could paint all that tiny detail. So before I glue this nozzle on, you need to take care of where the fuselage join, you got that seam. So I've put some CA glue on there. I have to sand that out and clean it up, because it's easier to get at now than later. Even though that blocks half of it, you can still see some of it. As you can see, that's glued together. I did it in stages. It was a bit, this end was awkward, and then it was, didn't want to sit together all along, so I did a bit at a time. So hopefully I can get it all happening now with that. So that looks like a good fit. It'll probably just need a smidge of putty there, and then it's a matter of this area with the, you got to get them to fit flush, and this area in the middle where the fuselage halves meet that gear bay. Again, it'll be in stages, I think, the way it's looking, and then it's going to be how I'm going to try and clean up that intake seam. Obviously I'm not going to be able to get the full length of it, but I need to try and get some of it because it'll just look silly. Oh, I did do a dry fit. It looked all good here. The gear bay has got the recess that it sits into. I think actually one side fitted better than the other. Is it this way around? Remember now? Yeah, this side seemed to fit better. It sits perfect. The other side at the rear doesn't want to sit. So that my tape. The other side, something's fouling it up, so I need it again. There was flash everywhere, so it's probably something I haven't cleaned up properly. So I need to look at that before I glue that together. So I'm just having a dry fit of the nose fuselage going together. Not too bad. Again, it's got flash. It needs cleaning up. Just this plate underneath is a bit, I've got to clean up. It's a bit not perfect fit, and it's different. There's two in the kit, obviously for a different version of the Mirage. This is the one called out for the Aussie one. And also you can see I've got some lead here, so they do actually tell you need 4 grams of nose weight. So I was just curious, that's 4 grams of lead shot, whether that's all fit in there. Maybe, I'm not sure, but you got all this space behind this, the bulkhead there above the wheel well. It's still in front. You can put nose weight. It doesn't have to be right in the nose. It can be anywhere forward of here. So you could probably put some there as well. But being it's not a lot, I got this sinker. I'm going to bang it out with a hammer and flatten it out so it fits in there. And that is 4 gram, and I'll probably put a bit of that in the nose. I like to go more than what they say, just to make sure that it will not sit on its tail. Right, I almost missed a couple of pieces to go in the cockpit. I was busy looking at paint call outs, and I didn't take notice that there's 2 bits of photo etch go in. I'm guessing the latches perhaps for the canopy, although that looks too far forward. Might be. Anyway, I don't know what they are, but I think that's where they said. Again, the picture is vague. It shows you the piece and it's pointing in towards the fuselage, especially this side. You wouldn't have a clue. This side, there's a bit of a recess there, and I figured that's where it's supposed to go. It fitted there, so I'm guessing okay, that's a winner. We'll go with that. And I've cleaned up that seam in there, all good. So I've glued this on, but I still need to respray that metal colour. Fix up there. Looks at my photo etches. Come loose there. All the handling. Anyway, that's a future problem. So you can see I put that sinker. I smashed it down with a hammer outside on the concrete to get it to fit to shape in that inside there, that I can get the other fuselage on. And I've put a bit more there. That wasn't even half of all that lead should I have, so it might be 1.5 gram or 1 gram there, but that's definitely enough now to stop it from tail sitting. So before I glue this together, I'll give that a blast of NATO black, and then I'll glue them together. I'll wait till they're together before I fit this bottom plate. Then I'll be having a look-see about how we're going to fit all this together. Nose to fuselage, this is the next big test of how good this kit is. Alright, I'm getting slowly gluing all this together. It's really hard, awkward how it's engineered. Like I said, Mirages are painful the way they get together. It's glue a bit at a time and get it to bite, try and line it up. And then I went to the other side and I was manipulating to sit it in position. I should have let this side, or was it no, opposite way around, and then it come apart again, so I had to glue it again. A dry fit of the nose section onto the fuselage, you can see that it needs a lot of cleanup, and I did have issues getting this together. It's still a bit of a tiny gap there. It just I don't know why I wouldn't, the cockpit's in properly, but I couldn't get that a good fit, so I had to keep it clamped for a while. So yeah, it needs a lot of cleanup, and then the join will need clean up, so it's not going to get perfect. It's going to need some filler somewhere. Oh yeah. So the good news is the top of the spine there has part sits in there, be it that piece there will sit in there. So the main objective will be cleaning up this join. Alright, so that's just holding that there. I don't want to move it. The wings, I'm just dry fitting them as well. Now the wing, see, the wings have a chamfered edge. You see where my nail is running across there? That's chamfered, and it's meant to sit, push in to the fuselage, as it's got a chamfered edge as well. But you need to line up so the wing will sit there like that. So this side's pretty good, just a bit at the front there, but if you give it a bit of a squash on the spine, it might come in. But the other side is not as good. So if I line up where it sits and flip him over, you can see it's not under the two chamfered edges aren't meeting, which means this piece of fuselage isn't out far enough. So to fix this, I could try cutting a piece of, just for an example, if you cut a piece of sprue to width and insert it down inside against the two fuselage halves to push it out, but if you're doing that, you'll need to glue that wing on first, otherwise you'll push it out as well. Or you can sand this edge down so that basically if you make that shorter, that'll come across further, but then you're starting to sand off detail. It's almost there, it's probably just in the middle, right in the middle there and towards the back. Yeah, it might be half a mil or less even. So I've got to try and fix that. On first attempt, I'm going to probably come in this way and just push it out from there. Maybe. Another idea. So that's, let's push that toothpick in there. Let's push that fuselage out a bit. That helped in the middle. So it's going to be a bit of a manipulation job trying to get it in to fit, because you need really to get that in there, otherwise you got a big, it'll be like a D section up against you. So to get it properly, you can see how much overlap. That's probably the easiest fix, is to sand that down, but I was thinking that I wanted to avoid taking detail away, but you probably lose very little. So that may be the way I end up doing it. But I'm not going to let that dry properly now for a day before I start coming in trying to manipulate again, because I don't want these splitting apart again. And then I'll work out all this nose piece. I mean, that looks ugly, and it is ugly, but most of that you'll lose with the spine going on. But the underside is, yeah, that's ugly. So I can sand it a bit more, but by the looks of it, it's got a bit of a curve on that. So it might be best just to fill it, a bit of CA glue, and then sand it down and clean it up. Because if you keep taking away, you're bringing it back. It's not meant to be back that far, even though you're talking about half a millimetre. Anyway, I shall work it out.